Racism, abuse, and forcing bad habits. We love reality TV, but not all of its stars feel the same way, and they're not holding back. Adrianne Curry was the first person to win the title of America's Next Top Model when the show made its debut in 2003. Alas, Curry didn't do much modeling after Top Model. However, she prolonged her 15 minutes by marrying Brady Bunch star Christopher Knight and making the VH1 reality show My Fair Brady, which aired for 3 seasons.
I will marry your daughter when her communication skills catch up with her sexual maturity.
Though none of that would have been possible without America's Next Top Model, Curry has spoken out about the show numerous times. Most notably, in a 2018 blog post, she claimed that the contracts she won on the show were bogus, that she never received her prize money, and that host Tyra Banks ghosted her. Regardless, on Instagram in 2020, she also noted that she didn't much care, adding, "I loved being on the show." Keenyah Hill is another contestant who did well on America's Next Top Model, but who has mixed feelings about her experience on the show. At 19, Hill was one of the youngest contestants in the competition. Models had to be 18 to apply, and she has raised allegations of feeling unprotected on set. Viewers witnessed some of Hill's discomfort firsthand during a photo shoot with male model Bertini Amegni. Hill stopped the shoot and accused him of sexual harassment, but allegedly received little help from Jay Manuel or anyone else on the show. In 2023, she told Entertainment Weekly, "Now when you watch it, it's super cringy because that could have been shut down at the shoot."
I know it's not about feeling comfortable, but hearing moaning, it just threw me off.
She claimed the verbal harassment began before the shoot even started. Worse still, Hill felt her feelings were discounted at the judging panel when the team focused more on her reaction to the harassment than the harassment itself. Host Tyra Banks advised Hill to use her, quote, feminine wiles to push back against future harassment, which honestly sounded just as gross in 2005 as it does today, but somehow garnered little criticism at the time. Carole Radziwill's cool, down-to-earth vibe was a breath of fresh air next to the histrionics of some of her Real Housewives of New York co-stars. But since leaving the show in 2018, Radziwill hasn't come off as cool and collected so much as a dog with a bone. Her constant attacks on her former producers and co-stars have felt thirsty, even if she has peppered them with declarations of her love for the fans. Radziwill appeared on the show for 6 seasons from 2012 to 2018 and has now been talking about it for nearly as many years after leaving. It's all a little down in the muck for a seasoned journalist with a connection to the Kennedys. We couldn't possibly get into all of Radziwill's beef with Real Housewives, but here are some highlights. In a 2022 post on X, formerly known as Twitter, she took issue with being shown in flashbacks without being paid. She has also blasted former bestie Bethany Frankel's Housewives podcast, entered into a public feud with Andy Cohen, and used X to accuse producers of manipulating narratives.
Everything Bethany says about me that is not true. I mean, literally, I'm watching it along with everyone else thinking, oh, okay.
During an episode of Andy's Girls with Sarah Galley, she said she wouldn't return for RHONY Legacy because she couldn't tolerate having another conversation with any of her former co-stars. Ouch. Rachel Lindsay first appeared on reality television as a potential suitor on season 21 of The Bachelor. In fact, she stood out so much that she became the next Bachelorette, making her the first black lead in the history of the franchise. Since then, she's been one of the franchise's true success stories.
Are you telling me you found somebody normal in there?
Yes.
Oh, come on.
Not only is she still married to the contestant she chose, Brian Abasolo, but she is now an on-air correspondent with Extra. But the franchise can't boast about her achievements because Lindsay is one of its biggest critics, and for good reason. Controversy erupted in 2021 when The Bachelor finally cast their first black leading man, Matt James, and photos emerged of one of his contestants at a plantation-themed party. It wasn't the first race-based controversy for the franchise, but the news hit at the peak of the Black Lives Matter movement, so people were listening. After Lindsay interviewed longtime host Chris Harrison about the photos, his less-than-concerned comments led to his removal from the show. In a thoughtful op-ed for Vulture, Lindsay subsequently discussed tokenism and the way the franchise consistently failed in terms of diversity. She also claimed to have experienced the wrath of a toxic fan base. Lindsay continues to critique the show, including its failure to properly address a contestant's blackface photo in 2022. Carmen Carrera appeared on season 3 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and though she did not become America's next drag superstar, she's gone on to establish herself as a bona fide model. She's also become a vocal critic of the show, particularly in relation to how it handles gender diversity. Carrera identified as a gay man on her season, then transitioned shortly after filming and became a voice for the transgender community. Alongside Laverne Cox, she famously schooled journalist Katie Couric on the invasiveness of the questions often lobbed at transgender individuals during a 2014 episode of Couric's talk show, Katie. Carrera has also taken on RuPaul and Company. Before its usage was stopped in 2014, Carrera went to Facebook to call out the show for using the pun she-male as the title of a segment, writing, "Drag Race should be a little smarter about the terms they use and comprehend the fight for respect trans people are facing every minute of today. They should use their platform to educate their viewers truthfully on all facets of drag performance art." From the start, Breaking Amish was a controversial reality television show in that it featured Amish and Mennonite individuals busting out of their communities and into the bright lights and big dangers of the big city. The TLC show ran for 4 seasons, after which it was transitioned into Return to Amish, which brought people back from city life to their Amish communities. Return to Amish has been on the air since 2014, and the original hoopla around the Amish angle has long settled. But at least one of the show's former stars feels that the franchise had a negative effect on her life, and she has expressed major regrets about appearing on it at all. Fashion designer Kate Stoltz was a cast member of Breaking Amish from the beginning, and the show documented her attempts at modeling before she decided to attend the Fashion Institute of Technology. After appearing in the first 2 seasons of Breaking Amish, Stoltz returned to TLC for the first 3 seasons of Return to Amish. But in 2016, right before the premiere of its 3rd season, she went off on the show in since-deleted posts on X, writing, "Doing a reality show is one of the worst decisions I made in my life. Everything on the show is so edited and out of context." In another tweet, she claimed that producers kept her in a room for hours on end to get the statement they wanted captured on camera. Teen Mom 2 was a huge hit for MTV, airing for 11 seasons before the decision was made to integrate the cast of the show with that of Teen Mom OG to create Teen Mom: The Next Chapter. Leah Messer was one of the original cast members of Teen Mom 2, and she remained on the show through its entire run, from 2011 to 2022, so it wasn't surprising when she earned a spot on the new series. Her return for season 2 of the show would be surprising, however, not because Messer isn't a fan favorite, which she is, or that her narrative isn't interesting. She had a big cheating scandal last season, but because she alluded to leaving the show on social media. Messer's relationship with the franchise has continued despite her talking poorly about the show back in 2016. In March of that year, she accused the show of editorial manipulation, tweeting, "It hurts to feel betrayed by the ones I thought I could trust with my story."
I have anxiety, I have depression, that's an issue.
She took to X a month later to add, "Oh, how I love this fake-ass TV show, #so over it." Turns out, she wasn't over it at all. Survivor has been critiqued for creating a poor atmosphere for people of color, both on set and in the audience. In 2023, season 28 contestant Dr. Jatia Hart started a move on petition urging the show's executive producers to combat the lack of diversity behind and before the camera. Prior to that point, more than a dozen other Black contestants had already spoken out about the way the show perpetuates racial stereotypes. 2 contestants even had this conversation on the show during season 42. Hart's season was set in Cagayan in the Philippines before the show permanently moved production to Fiji, and she wasn't portrayed well. In an interview with NPR, Hart said, "I have a degree in nuclear engineering from a top engineering school. I'm a mother. I work in national security. I am very well-rounded, and I just got boiled down to a simple trope of a lazy, unintelligent person." Hart isn't alone, as evidenced by a June 2020 episode of Rob Has a Podcast, where 13 other Black alumni alleged experiencing racial harassment from other contestants and fans, and numerous other concerns. When Netflix joined the reality TV game, they came out swinging with hits like The Circle, Selling Sunset, and the rebooted Queer Eye. They also commissioned a number of dating shows, including Too Hot to Handle, Perfect Match, and Love is Blind, which is the most interesting and the most popular. The show places single men and women in rooms where they can't see each other and encourages them to get engaged within weeks. They don't meet their intended until they're actually engaged, when they head off to decide whether to get married.
Yeah, I think we all want to be loved for who we truly are. And I'll tell you, the gentlemen who are here for the exact same reason.
It was only a matter of time before someone took issue with the show's out there experiment, which came in the form of an insider expose. Season 2 contestant Danielle Ruhl was one of the contestants interviewed for the piece, and she had scathing things to say about the show. She accused producers of using her weight issues against her and providing minimal food and inadequate medical care. She added her surprise at being cast at all, given her history of mental illness. When she experienced mental instability during filming, she alleged that producers persuaded her to stay, revealing, "I kept telling them I don't trust myself. I've tried committing suicide before. I'm having suicidal thoughts. I don't think I can continue in this." Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle get more buzz for Netflix than Perfect Match, but that does not mean it's a snoozer. The show is reminiscent of Paradise Hotel in that contestants arrive single and are tasked with forming couples not just for romance, but also for strategy. Anyone uncoupled at the end of each episode is cut. But while the show may be fun for viewers, it's perhaps not so much for contestants. At least one of them, Chase DeMoor, has gone on the record with claims of the show being fake, blaming contestants just as much as producers. In a March 2023 interview with the Zachary reality podcast, DeMoor claimed that not all contestants were on the show looking for romance, specifically Francesca Farrago, who he claimed was there to promote her clothing brand.
She's doing her thing with her swim line, but she wasn't there, for love or a TV show for that matter.
He also claimed contestants discussed how to jazz things up for TV before filming even began, and often formulated the storylines ahead of time. Even though most fans realize reality television producers create and exaggerate storylines, DeMoor spoke to the recent trend of contestants trying to produce themselves. In fact, DeMoor's points seem to apply to most reality shows of the current era. Those getting cast have been studying the series or others like it for decades and know what to do to secure the most attention. Since its inception, The Biggest Loser has been accused of exploiting contestants and promoting unhealthy and potentially dangerous diets and behaviors. But these allegations hit harder when they come from the contestants themselves. Season 3 contestant Kai Hibbard has spoken out against the show after losing 118 pounds in 2006. She told the New York Post, "There was no easing into it. That doesn't make for good TV. My feet were bleeding through my shoes for the first 3 weeks." Hibbard also claimed contestants were provided with unhealthy food that was chosen for weight loss and sponsorship deals rather than nutritional value. She also alleged she experienced mental abuse on the show, including bullying from trainers, recalling, "They would say things to contestants like, 'We've picked out your fat person coffin.'" Producers were apparently unconcerned with the well-being of contestants and reportedly encouraged them to take up smoking to suppress their appetites, while ignoring reasonable requests for breaks.
Last week, Jillian broke the rules and gave caffeine supplements to each member of her team without the doctor's permission.
Hibbard also alleged that another contestant was forced to exercise despite sustaining significant injuries to her legs and being ordered to rest by doctors, explaining, "They edited her to make her look lazy and bitchy and combative." In a statement released to Entertainment Weekly, NBC responded, "Contestants on The Biggest Loser are closely monitored and medically supervised." Suzanne Mendonca was a contestant on Season 2 of The Biggest Loser, where she made it until Week 5 before being eliminated. The star alleged that she was made to practice harmful behaviors that made it impossible for her to maintain her weight. She gained back 130 pounds, which was 40 more than she was carrying when she first came on the show.
There was no way I was going to keep that weight off. There's so many unhealthy things they do on the show that are not sustainable in real life.
She cited eating baby food and being forced to wear garbage bags to sweat more while working out as examples of such habits. Mendonca resurfaced again in 2016, this time in a TMZ video where she claimed the show ruined her life and that she wanted to file a class action lawsuit with other former contestants. She alleged that there was little concern for the health and safety of contestants of the show, resulting in long-term damage to her metabolism, adding, "They actually dehydrated us. They told us not to drink for 48 hours before a weigh-in. We would only eat 800 calories a day and we would work out 8 hours a day."
If you want 5 minutes of fame and drastic weight loss that you'll never keep off, then join The Biggest Loser.
In a statement published by Fox 13, NBC maintained that the show prioritized the health and well-being of contestants and followed the correct rules and protocol to do so. Cooking competition shows might have less focus on drama than dating shows or lifestyle reality programming, but they wouldn't be nearly as popular without their own unique dramas. most surrounding clashes of personalities and issues related to particular tasks. Producers of shows like Top Chef and Hell's Kitchen allegedly use similar tactics to ensure their contestants are mentally and physically exhausted so that their guards are down. In 2009, the New York Times published allegations that Hell's Kitchen was, well, hell to work on. And sure, Gordon Ramsay's signature insults, outbursts, and generally unpleasant demeanor are one of the show's main draws, but apparently his abusive behavior permeates other aspects of the Hell's Kitchen experience too. In the New York Times, Season 3 contestant Jen Yemola alleged, "They locked me in a hotel room for 3 or 4 days. They took all my books, all my CDs, my phone, any newspapers. I was allowed to leave the room only with an escort. It was like I was in prison." In an interview with the New York Post, Yemola claimed the show gave contestants little food, and that contestants did not receive the necessary support from the show's psychiatric team, even though they were being put through the ringer for the sake of entertainment.
Wait, there's so much alcohol in there. What did you put in there?
Peach schnapps.
How much did you put in there?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Representatives from the show and from Fox declined to comment on the allegations when asked by the New York Times. Seth Caro was a contestant on Top Chef's spin-off Top Chef Just Desserts, which lasted just 2 seasons. He had such a horrible experience on the show that he ended up quitting mid-season, though it wasn't an easy process. In fact, he claimed he tried to leave the show multiple times before he was successful.
I can't do this. I can't do it. I can't do this. I can't.
Finally, he had a panic attack so severe that EMTs were called and cameras captured every moment of it. When Caro refused to film a final challenge or interview, producers allegedly planted a cameraman in some trees to film his exit. He claimed that producers subsequently placed him on an involuntary psychiatric hold after he jumped out of their van, telling the New York Post, "They are playing with people's lives. I've been destroyed by the experience."
I'm not here for fun. I'm here to save my life.
At the time of the 2015 interview, he was in the process of changing his name because he felt his notoriety had ruined his career prospects and personal relationships. Like many other former reality competition stars, Caro accused the show of creating terrible working conditions. Like most other shows in the genre, producers of Top Chef Just Desserts purportedly took away contestants' phones, laptops, and even their wallets and identification. They were allegedly not allowed to talk to each other during hours-long breaks and were only fed when producers allowed it. Tamar Braxton began her career as a singer, but she became a reality star when she signed on for Braxton Family Values, a WE TV series centered on the 5 Braxton sisters and their mother. The show premiered in 2011 and ran for 7 seasons, during which time Tamar Braxton scored a spin-off called Tamar and Vince that ran for 5 seasons of its own. In 2020, when WE announced they were delaying another new show from the star, Get Ya Life, Braxton went in on reality television's exploitative nature, posting on her Instagram, "Over the past 11 years, there were promises made to protect and portray my story with the authenticity and honesty I gave. I was betrayed, taken advantage of, overworked, and underpaid." In her lengthy social media post, Braxton blamed reality television for her mental illness, as well as the 2020 suicide attempt that led to her show's postponement. She suggested that reality TV stars need a union to protect their rights and police their working conditions. However, Braxton seemingly got comfortable with reality television again as she returned to the genre relatively quickly. In the years since her statement, she has appeared on The Surreal Life and starred on Peacock's Queen's Court, a dating show that led to her engagement. Braxton's other credits include Celebrity Big Brother and Dancing with the Stars, and will likely be on our TV screens for as long as the reality genre will have her. NeNe Leakes is a reality television legend. As an original cast member on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Leakes skyrocketed to fame thanks to her quick wit and lack of a filter.
I am a grown-ass woman, and you're gonna have to talk to me with a little bit more respect. This ain't sweetie.
In addition to her 7 seasons on Real Housewives of Atlanta, the star has appeared on numerous other reality shows, including Celebrity Show Off, The Apprentice, and College Hill Celebrity Edition. She's also done some acting and hosting, but it's reality television for which she's best known. But as much as we'd love to see her back on Bravo, Leakes may have burned one too many bridges. In a Twitter post shared shortly after she left Real Housewives of Atlanta in 2020, Leakes accused Andy Cohen of racism. 2 years later, in April 2022, she filed a lawsuit against NBC Universal, Bravo, 2 production companies, and multiple executives, including Cohen. A statement from Leak's lawyer read, "From the day the series began filming, NeNe was the target of systemic racism from co-star Kim Zolciak-Biermann, which was tolerated by Bravo executive producer Andy Cohen and other executives." 4 months later, she dropped the lawsuit and accused Bravo of blacklisting her. Blacklisted or not, it's unlikely Leaks will be back on Bravo. Ryan Ruckledge was a contestant on the British version of X Factor back in 2015 when his disastrous appearance led Judge Simon Cowell to sneer,
"What a horror of a human being."
On the show, Ruckledge appeared drunk, and his obnoxious antics were framed as simply a lack of caring and a bad attitude. However, the contestant has gone on the record claiming that he was encouraged to drink by the show's team. In an interview with The Sun, Ruckledge said, "I was told by the crew to get drunk so it would liven things up. Why let us have free booze if they don't want you to get drunk?"
You let yourself down. You made yourself look like a complete and utter idiot.
X Factor is a singing competition show, but Ruckledge knows he's not a great singer, so he blames the show for putting him out there in the first place. In an interview with the Daily Star, he claimed he'd been dating a producer who got him onto the show and promised he'd make it to the finals. But after his drunken behavior during the show's boot camp phase, Cowell wouldn't stand for it. Ruckledge told The Sun, "Simon Cowell has ruined my life." Maybe not. After all, the X Factor ordeal earned Ruckledge a 2016 spot on Big Brother, where he lasted 41 episodes, so he may have gotten over it. American Idol has pumped out plenty of disgruntled contestants over its many decades on the air, but few have been more outspoken than Season 8 contestant Joyner. The performer only made it to the semifinals, but he claimed that it was because the show's outcome was predetermined, telling ABC News, "It's fixed, it's manipulated, it's scripted, it's not a talent competition. They show you who they want to show, and that's just what it is. They have some people, when they get on stage, lights come out that you didn't even know existed." That American Idol plays favorites is hardly news, and it's certainly not the only show to use personal narratives to push certain contestants forward, but that wasn't Joyner's only issue. He also alleged that contestants were made to sign paperwork like non-disclosure agreements without being given time to review them. Joyner told ABC News, "The day we saw the contract, we had to sign the contract. We had to collectively vote on a lawyer out of a selection of 3 attorneys they presented us. It was ridiculous."